Please mute.
Mr. Speaker.
Prayers.
Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness has appointed the offices of leaders in the parliament for the welfare of society, good of all humans lives upon it, and the just government of its people, we beseech you to look with your abundant favor upon us, your servants, whom you have entrusted with the performance of such important trust in this community. Let your blessings descend upon us, your family, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our attention and deliberation in so just a faith and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, the prosperity, and welfare for this region, and of those whose interests you have committed to us. Amen.
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 Item number 1 on the order paper, communication from the chair.
Good afternoon, honorable members. Good afternoon. I don't have.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon,
Good afternoon,
Honorable
all.
Speaker.
Good afternoon. I don't have a communication today. That's why we have to proceed.
Now.
Good afternoon, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Do you hear me?
Order number 2, laying of papers. Report of the Committee on Accounts. Chairperson.
Chair of the Committee on Accounts, lay the papers.
Yes, I am there. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we hear you, but we hear you. You can proceed.
Yes, I can proceed. Okay.
Good.
Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Chair.
I beg to lay on table the summary of the report of the Committee on Accounts on the audited accounts for the financial year ended 30th June 2022.
Thank you.
Order number 3, report of the Committee on Accounts on the audited accounts for the financial year ended 30th June 2022 by way of motion.
Chair of the Committee on Accounts, move the motion.
Wasn't that the report of the Committee on Accounts on the audited accounts for the financial year ended 20th June 2022 be adopted?
You have seconders?
Aye.
Yes, you have seconders.
Yeah,
have,
seconded.
You have Honorable Kazana, Honorable Kennedy, Honorable Kezimana,
I support.
Dangiza, and others. Thank you. Chair of the committee. Chair of the committee.
Yes.
On accounts, proceed with the motion, the justifications, and the presentation of the report.
Okay. I begin to present the report, Honorable Speaker. I begin with the first point, 8, introduction. In accordance with the provisions of Article 134.3 of the Treaty for the Establishment of the East African Community, the chairperson of the EAC Council of Ministers on the 15th June 2023 in Arusha, United Republic of Tanzania, laid before the Assembly during the fourth meeting of the first session of the fifth Assembly the following reports of the Audit Commission for EAC organs and decisions for the year ended 30th June 2022. Roman point 1, East African Legislative Assembly. 2, the East African Court of Justice. 3, the East African Community Secretariat. 4, the East African Lake Victoria Basin Commission. 5, East African Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization. 6, the Inter-University Council of East Africa. 7, the East African Civil Aviation Safety and Security Oversight Agency. 8, the East African Israeli Commission. 9, the East African Health Research Commission. 10, the East African Health Research Commission. 10, East African Science and Technology Commission. 11, the East African Competition Authority. In accordance with Rule 74.1, Rule 81.c, and Annex 5.a of the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly, the Right Honourable Speaker referred the audit report to the Committee on Accounts for review. The committee met for this purpose from 9 to 22nd May 2024 in Arusha, Tanzania, and proceeded a report. Objectives of the activity. The objectives of the activities were: Roman point 1, examine the AEC financial statements and management letters for the AEC organs and decisions for financial year ended June 2022. Point 2, follow up on the level of implementation for the previous audit and assembly recommendations for financial year ended June 2021. 3, interact with the accounting officers and the management teams of the respective EAC organs and institutions. 4, assess the levels of compliance to the EAC financial rules and other statutory provisions. 5, examine the management and governance frameworks of the EAC organs and institutions. Executive summary. Honorable Speaker, sir, during the review and consideration of the Audit Commission report on the financial statements of the East African Community, organs and institutions for the year ended 30th June 2022, issues presented were examined and recommendations were proposed. The community had a budget of $105,004,766, and the actual expenditure was $72,722,459. Hence, an overall budget performance of 69%. Suffice to note is the fact that the donor Jordan funding increased from $43,109,444 in financial year 2020 and 2021 to US dollars 43,232,674 in financial year 2021-2022. Generally, the EAC organs, institutions, and projects and the programs continue to face challenges of low budget absorption due to delayed or non-remittance of funds. This calls for proper budgetary planning, coherence, and consistency in the budgeting process. It is imperative that the EAC puts in place an EAC single project coordination unit to ensure proper managing of the growing EAC projects. It is important that the EAC puts in place an annual forum involving all the organs, institutions, and the Council to appraise and evaluate itself on the performance of its programs and activities. The follow-up process will be a great opportunity for the institutions and organs to review the progress being made in the implementation of the integration agenda of the EAC. It will also assess the challenges faced and devise strategies of overcoming them. Management will also seize the unique opportunity to engage the community in an improvement process. Of great concern was the non-implementation of the previous audit recommendations, non-provision of quarterly reports to the Assembly as recommended in previous reports, delayed recruitment and filling of vacant positions, which have remained a persistent challenge. Additionally, the procurement processes in the EAC organs and decisions such as the adequate management of community assets, along with conflicts of interest during the disposal process, are concerns which continue to convene procurement procedures. Furthermore, gross irregularities were noted in recruitment and award of short-term contracts, a process that contravenes EAC staff's rules and regulations. The committee also observed a prolonged period of redundancy of the projects of LVBEC and the failure to adhere to the terms outlined in the contract for the construction of the LVBC building. Furthermore, the EAC organs and the institutions did not recover from revenue authorities of partner states accumulated VAT refunds, leading to forfeiture of activities that could have been undertaken using these VAT resources. The issue of non-appropriation of the recovered VAT prior to its utilization is evident across various organs and institutions. The EAC institutional review process has also been a persistent problem at the EAC. It is 10 years since the EAC embarked on an institutional review exercise. Many programs of the institution depend on its recommendations, yet there is no optimism on when the Council of Ministers will conclude on this very important matter. The committee further observed insufficient involvement of the Council of Ministers in the management of the reserve funds, as well as the opening and the closing of communities' accounts. Nevertheless, the accounts presented a fair position in all the material aspects for the EAC organs and institutions for the year ended 30th June 2022. The financial performance and cash flows for the period were in accordance with institutional public sector accounting standards. Status of implementation of point 1, status of implementation of previous audit recommendations. During the period ended 30th June 2022, a total of 301 recommendations relating to 11 organs and institutions audited by the Audit Commission were outstanding. From the assessment of these recommendations, the Account Committee noted that 96, equivalent to 32% have been fully implemented. 88, equivalent to 29%, were under implementation, and 116, equivalent to 39%, had not been implemented, while one was overtaken by events. The non-implementation of previous audit recommendation is attributed to inadequate management follow-ups to address the outstanding audit recommendation, delayed remittances by some partner states, and understanding in EAC organs and institutions. Committee recommendation. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to ensure that all understanding recommendations are fully implemented to address the deficiencies and weaknesses identified. You can see that in the table 1 below, the status of implementation of previous audit recommendations. Point 2, human resources. The AC continues to operate with unfilled positions in the organs and institutions. The review of the 3 organs and 8 institutions indicated that there was a total of 604 available positions reported in the financial states for the period ended 30th June 2022. Of these, only 447, equivalent to 74% of the positions have been filled, while 164, equivalent to 26%, are yet to be filled. Other aspects reported under this challenge include lack of segregation of duties, low budget allocation to core activities, and understaffed projects coordination unit, and irregularities in short-term employment contracts, lack of staff performance in management. Table 2 show human resources in each institution. When the committee interacted with the management of EAC, it reported that the current staffing challenge is largely caused by funding challenges, since Council has not provided funds for recruitment, emoluments, and settlement of staff. Committee recommendation. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to fill the vacant positions across the organs and institutions of EAC. This is because the human resources component has a big bearing in the fulfillment of the mandate of the respective mandates of organs and institutions. Point 3, funding sources. The budget of the EAC was mainly funded through part states' contribution and development partners' support. The activities of the community during the year under review were funded by a budgetary appropriation of $105 billion compared to $999 $0.74 million in 2022, 2020, and 2021. There was an increase of $4.26 million, or approximately 4%, as shown below. It was also noted that expected development spend contribution, which accounted for about 41% of the budget, US dollar 43.23 million in 2021-2022, increased to 43% of the budget, US dollar 43.11 million in 2020 by 2021. Point 4, partner states contributions. An amount of $71.30 million remained unremitted from the amounts due to for the period 2021-2022, compared to US dollar 53.39 million in the period 2020-2021, as depicted below, inside the table 4. The committee observed that some partner states only remitted a portion of their budgetary contributions for some EAC projects, while others did not entirely send their contribution, as at the end of the financial year 2021-2022. The committee observed that this had narrowed the resource in the envelope, resulting in the EAC organs and institutions being enabled to fully and smoothly implement planned objectives in the financial year to achieve their different mandates. As a result, a number of planned projects had either been partially implemented, delayed, or not implemented at all. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to ensure that Roman point 1, there is enhancement of follow-up on the outstanding contributions, so timely and continuous reminders, and issuance of demand and receipt notes to the receptive partner states of what is outstanding to the EAC. 2, it explores other avenues for a resource mobilization by soliciting other donors to join the funding of the EAC programs. 3, it enhances the EAC donor relations and resource mobilization. And 4, if it further explores the possibility of enforcing penalties on the partner states defaulting on remittances of contributions to the EAC. 5, fast tracks the alternative funding mechanisms and submits a report to the Assembly. Point 5, budget performance for financial year 2021-2022. During the year under review, the total approved budget of the community, inclusive of the general reserve and supplementary budget, was US dollar 105 million. However, the organs and institutions of the community managed the absorbed only US dollar 72.72 million, representing an overall absorption rate of 69%. This implied that the community could not implement 31% of its planned activities during the year under review, as shown in the table 5 below. Committee recommends The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to ensure that management of EAC, Roman point 1, adopts a well-coordinated budget formulation mechanisms that will ensure that budgeted resources are utilized in the implementation of planned activities. 2, concludes the international review exercise in order to recruit sufficient staff and absorb more funds. And 3, engages partner states and development partners to ensure timely remittances of funds to the AAC. Point 6, budget trajectory for financial years 2023, 2013 and 2014 to 2021, 2022. The gross estimated expenditure decreased over the last 9 years from US dollars 133.3 million in 2013, 2014 to US dollar 105 million in 2021, 2022. This is approximately a decrease of 22% over the last 9-year period, as indicated in Table 6 and Figure 1 below. The committee observed that while the community is growing, the budget is reducing. This trend is of great concern as it negatively impacts the implementation of EAC programs. Point seven, partner state budget versus actual performance for the last 9 years. The partner states contribution changed over the last 9 years with a 34% increase from US dollar 38.077 million in 2013, 2014 to US dollars 61.34 million in 2021, 2022. However, it was noted that the contribution paid had been declining from 2014 up to 2018, 2019, increased in 2019, 2020, and declining again in 2020, 2021 to 2021, 2022. Contribution outstanding increased from US dollar 2.8 18 million in 2013, 2014 to US 41.40 million in 2021, 2022. These amounts have been settled in each of the following years. Nevertheless, the unpredictability of funding means that the EAC cannot properly plan and implement its activities, which may negatively affect the delivery of its mandate as depicted in Table 7 and Figure 2 below. Point 8, development partners contribution trend. Receipts from development partners have been declining from US 27.36 million in 2013 and 2014 to US 16.20 million in 2021, representing a 40% decrease in funding and in an increase to $21.44 million reported in 2021-2022. This implies the sum of the activities that were to be implemented using donor support have not been implemented. The committee further noted that there was a low absorption of development partners funds as indicated in Table 8 and Figure 3 below. The committee observed that the low disbursement was related to the method of disbursement of funds from development partners for general budget support using EAC, a regulation which directs project finance on impressed method, while the donor regulations are very stringent given the slow process of EAC, such as delays in approving supplementary budget, long procurement and recruitment processes. Committee recommendation. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to ensure that management of EAC, Roman point 1, develops project management frameworks catering for donor funding in management. 2, as indicated from project management coordination function, Unit 2 specifically cater for donor funding and how it complements EAC partner states funded projects and programs. Point 9, under absorption recognition of deferred income. This arises as a result of failing to implement activities for money received from partner states and development partners meant to finance different projects. Point 10, outstanding creditors. Several suppliers had not been paid for goods received and services rendered to the community. 11, weaknesses noted in the assessment point management. The Audit Commission reported that a review of the EAC assets management revealed weaknesses, some of which are listed below. Roman point 1, weakness noted in the fixed assets register. 2, absence of regular assets inventory count reports. 3, fixed deposit investment made to financial institutions without open competition, without involvement of investment committee. 4, lack of land title deeds. 5, fully depreciated assets, but still in use, and annual review of assets not conducted by Board of Survey. 6, assets ready for disposal not supported by Board of Survey report. 7, assets that have become inactive before use, kept in the store for more than 4 years at the
There is
time
an echo,
of the
speaker.
audit.
There is an echo. Should members who are not on the floor please mute your mics?
Committee recommendation.
Speaker.
Committee.
That one seems to be Honorable Papa talking next to Honorable Chairperson presenting.
Okay.
Committee recommendation. The committee recommends to the Assembly to enact the Public Finance Management Act and urge the management of EAC to address the challenges pointed out in the assets management regime at EAC. 12. Weaknesses noted in expenditure management. Under this aspect, the Audit Commission raised the following issues. Roman point 1, non-retirement of impressed, failure to stamp paid on the payment vouchers. 2, lack of controls over payment of invoices. 3, duplicated payment vouchers. 4, failure to certify invoices before payment. Committee recommendation. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to ensure that the management of EAC reprimands the staff implicated in the non-retirement of impressed and the above anomalies according to Regulation 41 of the EAC Financial Rules and Regulations. 13. Weaknesses and the procurement and contract management. The Audit Commission observed several weaknesses in procurement and contract management, including 1. Inappropriate use of direct procurement and absence of key documents on the equipment acquired. Table 26 of the detailed report. 2. Grievances within the community due to existence of conflict of interest in the disposal of community's assets. 3. Anomalies on procurement of insurance brokerage services. 4. Absence of competition on procurement of group and personal insurance for the EAC Secretariat staff. 5. Mispresentation of facts by user department on obtaining approval from the procurement committee. 6. Irregular procedures on procurement and contract management for the construction of a gym and the provision of related accessories. 7. Renewal of contracts without the procurement committee's approval. The details are in section 2.1.7 of the detailed report. The committee made the following observation. Weak internal controls in procurement of goods and services, which has led to the overriding of the provisions in the EAC financial rules and the regulations. 2012, without consequences. For example, the 7th ordinary meeting of the procurement committee of the East African Community, which was held on the 17th June 2021, approved a renewal of contract with MS Liquid Telecommunication Kenya Limited for the provision of cloud support services effectively from 1st July 2021 upon provision of 50% discount that was deemed offered by the service provider. The renewal came when the previous contract with the total amount of $52,645.11 that ran from 1st July 2020 to 30th June 2021 ended. Instead of renewing the contract, the community signed an instrument of variation with the service provider that proclaimed to reinstate the terms and conditions of the previous contract while extending the period to 3 years that was expected to end on 30th June 2024. This was contrary to Regulation 42 20.3 of EAC Financial Rules and Regulations. 2012 requires all procurement and disposal activities of the community to be carried out in a manner that maximizes competition and regulation. 42.4, which further requires effective competition to be achieved through the use of open or restricted bidding, requests for proposals and quotations, procurement methods. Regulation 68.1 of the same financial rules and regulations further requires where the estimated value of procurement is $50,000 or higher, a call for bids to be advertised on the website of the community and at least one newspaper with wide circulation in each of the partner states. Irregularities in management of contracts, or for instance, the management of contract for construction of LVBC headquarters phase 1 on 14th December 2020, LVBC signed a contract with 1,116,568.9 with Tariff Enterprises Limited for construction of office block for LVBC headquarters phase 1. However, a review of the schedule of payments revealed that the works certified as per work certificates was 672,750 and 3.664, representing 70.3% of the total contract sum. The certified works included net $604,375.92 paid to the contractor and the retention for liability period of $60,377.72. Significant existence of conflict of interest by management of the EAC Secretariat to whom the resources of the community have been entrusted. For example, the process of the disposal of 438 assets proposed by the Board of Survey in September 2021 was halted by the Secretary General after going through the whole processes of auctioning as per the AAC Financial Rules and Regulations and the AAC Procurement Procedures Manual 2022, albeit with a few irregularities in the process. The Secretary General interfered with the auction process in instructing the acting security officer not to allow the motor vehicles that had been sold by auction to leave the AEC compound unless granted clearance by the Office of Secretary General and notified the Director of Finance and Deputy Secretary General planning, investment, and finance and administration, that he has nullified the auctioning of motor vehicles and directed them to return the equivalent of US$ 32,630.8 that had been deposited by the auctioneer for the same. All this done because he had already approved the purchase of one of the vehicles by the chief, the cabinet, for a third of the price paid by the highest bidder. The Secretary General cited advice from CTC as the reason for cancellation of the auction. An internal memo from the legislative draftsman through CTC dated 2nd November 2022 was availed to us as an official communication that prompted the Secretary General to consider the auction to be null and void. However, it is the Audit Commission's opinion that the Secretary General should have sought for legal advice when initiating the SET's disposal process instead of cancellation of the process after it had been completed. This action could cause financial and reputational harm to the community. In addition, the CTC's advice failed to point out the imminent interferences in the disposal process that could warrant nullifying the disposal process. Apart from that, the CTC advice has not taken into account the legal implication of the laws of the land with regard to the auction that had already taken place as to what could be the outcome on cancelling the results of the auction. Further scrutiny of email communications between staff of the community themselves have shown high level of disagreements on management of events after the auction. In one instance, the Audit Commission noted words of disagreement between the CDC and the Senior Procurement Officer with regard to processes related to the auction that had taken place. Although the auction involved a number of community assets, the restriction was placed only on motor vehicles, which indicates conflict of interest as staff within the community was denied the acquire one of the vehicles outside the auction processes. On 10th November 2022, the auctioneer wrote a letter to the Secretary General requesting the community to hand over the auctioned vehicles to successful buyers within 3 days from the date of receipt of the letter. Further, that letter emphasized that the auctioneer shall not be held liable for any legal action that might be taken by respective buyers. The situation above is attributed to conflict of interest on purchasing the items listed in the auction by officials of the community who were supposed to display high level of integrity in their duties of serving the community. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to ensure that the management of the AAC strengthens and improves the internal controls around procurement to ensure wise utilization of the resources of the community. In addition, staff involved in the arrangement should be held personally liable for the loss suffered by the community. It is further proposed that the Council should introduce a sanction regime that would to deter malpractices and protect the resources of the community. 14.14, non-implementation of Headquarters Office Agreement. The Audit Commission reported that up to the time of conducting the audit, partner states had not granted VAT exemption to the organs and institutions in their jurisdiction as required under Article 4.d of the EAC Headquarters Agreement. Entities, therefore, they're made to pay VAT on taxable goods and services and subsequently claimed VAT refund from revenue authorities of the respective partner states. The committee observed that as of 30th June 2022, a total of $6,568 remained outstanding as indicated in the table below. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends to Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to ensure that the Secretary General should, Roman .1, as a matter of urgency, Council should ensure that partner states directly and immediately remit VAT refunds to the various organs and institutions of the EAC. 2, ensure that the accounting officers of the organs and institutions find the VAT refundable in a timely manner. 3, fast-track the enforcement of immunities and privileges protocol such that there is uniform harmonization of the privilege and immunities that are accorded to EAC organs and institutions across the partner states. 4, VAT recovered from the revenue authorities from partner states should be sent to the reserve fund for appropriation before expending by EAC organs and institutions. Point 15, management of legal cases submitted to the East African Court of Justice. The East African Court of Justice is in session for less than half of the year, and it is very likely that pending cases will continue to accumulate further every year. For instance, as at 30th June 2019, comparative pending cases combined were 63 for both First Division and Appellate Division. As at 24th May 2021, they were 144, and at the end of the financial year under review, pending cases were 214 for both First and Appellate Divisions. Operation of judges on a session basis led to slow processes and lengthy cycle of delivery of justice. Committee recommendation. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to ensure the following to enable the education and the resolution of cases is expeditiously undertaken, thus avoiding delays in dispensing justice. Roman .1, EACG positions are filled. 2, the EACG judges reside permanently in Arusha, considering that an assessment on the cost relieved a small difference, $5,000 per judge. 16, delay in passing of bills. The Audit Commission noted at the time of the audit in November 2022, the Assembly has 19 bills that were still pending in the House. 7 bills were enacted by the Assembly during the year. Advance copies for 4 bills were submitted to the summit, while 5 council bills and 2 private members' bills were introduced in the assembly as indicated in table 10 below. Committee observation. The committee observed that the delays have affected the overall outputs and the performance of Eala as an organ and the community in general. Committee recommendation. The committee thus recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to ensure that the challenges encountered in passing and assent to bills are addressed. 17th, absence of EAC Risk Management Strategy and Anti-Corruption Committee. The Audit Commission observed that the EAC has neither established a risk management strategy nor included the responsibility of staff in the identification of fraud risks and factors that increases EAC's susceptibility to fraud in the internal audit manual. In addition, the Council had never appointed the Anti-Corruption Committee as provided in the EAC Anti-Fraud and Anti-Corruption Policy. Committee observation. Absence of the risk management strategy, Anti-Corruption Committee, and proper risk mitigation strategies means the community is exposed to the risk of fraud and corruption being undetected when committed. In addition, the community is subjected to the risk of foreseeing fraud and corruption risks due to absence of the risk management strategy. Further, the internal audit is kept in a disadvantageous position in terms of identifying corruption and fraud by not involving staff in the identification of fraud risks and factors that increase the community's susceptibility of fraud in the internal audit manual. Committee recommendation. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to ensure that the management of EAC, Roman point 1, expedites the establishment of the risks management strategy. 2, appoints the Anti-Corruption Committee. 3, amends the internal audit manual according so as to reflect the pledge given under the anti-fraud and anti-corruption policy. 4, expedites the assent of the EAC anti-corruption bill, which was passed by the Assembly in 2022. 18, IT systems weaknesses. Under the IT system, the following issues were observed. ICT governance issues, including inadequate service level agreement, provision and tracking. 2, lack of ICT steering committees. And 3, lack of ICT policies and procedures. Issues to do with the budget management systems, including, among others, budget reallocations are not done through the system after being approved by the Assembly. Final approval by DSG and SG of the operation plan and budget is done outside the system. Failure of the system to prevent expenditure and unbudgeted account code. Failure of the system to prevent expenditure of more than the budgeted amount and unlicensed antivirus in the server hosting the Sun system. 2, 3, issues to do with the Sun systems, which is the financial management system used for the preparation of AC's financial statements, including, among others, Sun system invoice amounts greater than NPO amounts, inconsistent application of foreign exchange rates, preparation of financial statements of system, lack of segregation of duties between the originator and approver of transaction in the general ledger, failure to automate key business processes, issues to do with the Inspiro people system used for human resources, including, among others, payroll processing of the system leading to mismatch between Inspiro and Sun system. 2, lack of system controls to prevent salary payment above approved salary scale, inadequate segregation of duties for Inspiro system administrators, lack of data input validation, controls in Inspiro people, and inadequate integration between Inspiro and the Sun system. Issues to do with the hard card assets management used for managing EAC's assets, including inconsistencies between assets kept in Sun system and hard card application. Issues to do with the e-procurement system, including lack of e-procurement system documentation and unutilized e-recruitment system and RAMS application. Issues to do the East African monitoring systems, including Eala and EACG, are not using the EMS system, and anomalies of East African's custom interconnectivity system, valuation and risk management. Concerning the case management and recording system, it was found that the e-filing module is not accessed online by litigants. Issues to do with the requisition and accountability management system, including, among others, non-integration with RAMS and BMS information security control, lack of business continuity and plan and disaster recovery, and the remote access server configuration option, which is enabled in the info system database. Committee observation. The committee observed that the various systems in ASC work separately, and this causes inefficiencies in operations. Committee recommendation. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to ensure that the management of EAC integrates the various systems to work seamlessly to ensure efficiency and effectiveness. 19, East African Development Bank. The Audit Commission reported in its previous reports that the East African Development Bank, which has about 90% of its shares owned by the partner state, has not been audited by the Audit Commission. This is in spite of the 18th directive by the 17th Ordinary Summit of Heads of State to the Council of Ministers to review the EADB Charter to streamline it into the EAC main structure, and the work of the 9th meeting of the Sectoral Council on Finance and Economic Affairs and the constitution of a technical working group to work on this directive. Committee observation. The committee observed that the bank has a governance framework consisting of a board of directors and a governance charters. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends to the Council of Ministers to ensure that the management of the EADB deposits the audit accounts of the bank with the Office of the Secretary General and Eala for noting. Point 20, delay finalization of the institutional review exercise. The committee noted that it is over 10 years since the EAC embarked on an institutional review process. A lot of the programs of the EAC are dependent on its recommendations, and yet there is no indication on when the Council will conclude with the exercise. The committee observed that this had resulted into delays in the implementation of a number of key programs expected of the EAC. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to urgently expedite the conclusion of the institutional review exercise. Point 21, irregular employment for short-term contract staff. The committee noted that whereas short-term contracts in the EAC were used to fill manpower gaps arising from the continued increase in the number of institutions and the delay in the conclusion of the institutional review exercise. Audit relieved weaknesses in the management of short-term contracts, including Roman 1, lack of approvals on hiring of short-term contract staff from the Council as required by the regulations. 2, lack of guidelines of the engagement of the short-term staff, such as competitive recruitment processes and under determination of emoluments and benefits for short-term staff. 3, continued engagement of same staff on short-term contracts for up to 10 years. In some cases, despite the maximum 3 months regulations. The committee observed that this is a recurrent and long outstanding audit finding that had not been addressed by the Council of Ministers. The main cause being that the institutional review exercises meant to solve it along with other associated human resource challenges that have dragged on for too long. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the AEC Council of Ministers to Roman 1, direct the management of the EAC to phase out short-term contracts by establishing the positions in the EAC structure and draw a roadmap to subsequently fulfill them, and 2, expedite the completion of the institutional review exercise such that the short-term staff are phased out of the EAC structures. Point 22, delay in the conclusion of the alternative financing mechanisms. The committee noted that the static and sometimes reducing contribution from partner states and development partners towards the EAC budget, management of the EAC developed and presented to the Sectorial Council of Finance and Economic Affairs the proposal for sustainable alternative financing options for the EAC projects and programs. The proposal is being considered by the EAC partner states ministers responsible for finance. However, the committee observed that the conclusion of this process had delayed and there were no proposals approved to that effect. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to expedite the conclusion and consequent approval of the alternative financing mechanisms. A progress report should be availed to the Assembly at the next budget reading event. Point 23, weak internal audit function at the community. The committee observed weak audit mechanisms within the AEC and its organs and institutions, characterized by understaffing within the audit units. The committee noted that some organs and institutions were without fully fledged internal audit function and continued to rely support from the EAC Secretariat in internal audit, which was also not fully fledged. These include EACAC, EAHRC, ESTICO, EACA, EACG, and Eala. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to strengthen the AEC internal audit function by ensuring that it acquires the necessary personnel, particularly for the unnamed organs and institutions. Point 24, lack of a coordinated approach to management of EAC projects and programs. The committee observed that there was no mechanism in place to address coordination, learning, sustainability, and resource sharing between the various projects and the programs that were implemented by the AAC and its organs and institutions. As a result, there was duplication of activities, failure to share lessons, and resource wastage. Committee recommendations. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to, Roman point 1, institute a coordinating mechanism for all projects and the programs of the AEC by establishing a project management unit to coordinate and monitor EAC projects and programs, and to draw sustainability plans for all projects and align them with the AAC objectives and mission to enhance effectiveness and delivery of the initiatives during and after project program closure. Point 25, issues of air ticketing in EAC. The committee notes that most of the air tickets procured for activities in the EAC are costly, far above the ceiling provided by the Council directive, which is $500 for staff members and delegates traveling economy class within the region, and $1,000 for those entitled to travel business class. The costly tickets arise mostly from the late bookings and cancellation of meetings. As a result, the AEC is spending more in travel than engaging in strategic investments in pragmatic areas that seek to deepen the AAC integration agenda. The committee recommends that, as a matter of urgency, management should develop a travel policy that ensures that booking of tickets for planned activities and statutory meetings takes place at least 2 weeks before the travel dates. Confirmation of tickets by the beneficiaries before issuing. The verification of tickets whose beneficiaries have not traveled be carried out and sanctions be applied. Hybrid meetings to curb high costs of tickets by some participants attending meetings virtually. And then the number of qualified air ticket providers be increased in order to achieve more competitive airfares. General recommendation. General recommendations. The committee recommends to the Assembly to urge the Council of Ministers to follow up the management of the reserve funds and failure to adhere to the financial rules and regulation with regards to the procurement and management of a contract, internal audit functions, management of cash flow, and interests of take appropriate action. 2, management follows up the implementation of the previous audit recommendations and take disciplinary actions for staff who defaulted in the mismanagement of community resources. 3, additional financial resources be availed to clear the audit backlogs for the financial years ending June 30th, 2023, 2024, and 2025 to ensure that the audit report is aligned with the budgeting process of the community. Acknowledgements. The committee wishes to thank the Right Honourable Speaker, the Clerk, the Audit Commission, and the management of the various organs and institutions for the excellent felicitation accorded to it while executing its mandate. I finished, Honourable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker.
Chair. Thank you. I will recall the members that the main report is 189 pages, and that we are dealing with this. We are dealing with this report before us is for financial year 2022-21, 2022, meaning that we are 3 years behind. With this, honorable members, the motion on the floor is that the report of the Committee on Accounts...
Honorable Chair.
Yes, Honorable. Gladness.
Honorable Chair, you're not very audible. If you could move the microphone closer to you.
Oh, thank you.
You're not very audible.
Thank you. Would I go back to what I had said before, or you have followed? Right.
No, you can proceed.
Okay? Good. Honorable members, the motion on the floor is that the report of a Committee on Accounts on the audited accounts for the financial year ended 30th June 2022 be adopted. The debate is open. You have the floor, honorable members. We'll start with Honorable Dr. Gladness, then Honorable Matthias, then Honorable Musanga. Let's start with the members who are not in account committee. So we go with Honorable Gladness, Honorable Matthias. Is Matthias a member? Honorable Matthias.
Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Gladness, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. And also I thank the committee for this report. Mine will be mainly observations as before we adopt the report. So I had some observations, and when I read the executive summary, you don't get the sense of the depth of issues which have been raised in the main report. So I would urge the committee to bring out those issues as based on their intensity. Yeah, based on their intensity. Yeah, because in the main document, you see issues of unethical practices, you see malpractices, you see lack of professionalism. So these are very serious things. You see that we have a weak and maybe incompetent management. Yeah, we have those issues. So I would urge, I would like to request the committee to have the issues, these issues to be presented based on their, how strong they are. Because when you read, as I said, as you read the report, yeah, it gives you an understanding of how serious the problems are compared to if you read the executive summary. So I would like to request that from the committee. But something else that I also want to request the committee to look at is on the recommendations, because the recommendations, they don't have timelines. Yeah, so I think it's very important. If we have noted that there are certain actions which we want them to be taken forward, we should put the timelines. For example, if we talk about a review of the internal control systems, all these kind of problems that we have observed, and they've put the recommendations, I think it's very important that we have the timelines being set on the recommendations, like by when do we expect them to be addressed? So that is something that I would like to recommend, or I would like to ask the committee to look at. And something else that I also want, I think I'll have to ask you, this respectable parliament, is on positioning on the role of the parliament as far as our oversight is concerned. Because when I heard the committee want the parliament to urge the council, I think if we are using the word to urge, it's like it's not directive. It's not a directive. It's not directing the change that we want to see. So I think it's very important that we put the directives, like we state it as directives. What do we want to see done, and at what, by when, for example. So that is something that I've noticed, that the actions by the parliament is like they were not so strong in terms of giving directives. So maybe you are right, Honorable Speaker, you can also maybe help me to understand more. Maybe the parliament cannot give directives. But if we can give directives, I think we have a lot of serious issues here. There's a management malpractice. We must give directives. There's a kind of unethical practices. We have to give directives as to what we want to see done and by when. You know, some of the issues which have been raised in this report, in some of the institutions here, we just give a directive, like we want a forensic investigation, we want the suspensions, we want, we can direct it strongly. So maybe we don't need to go to that level, but I think the committee should come out with directives as to what should be done, based on the weaknesses, because we have seen the governance structure is not working. We don't have controls. The management is not working, as it's supposed, whether it's because of these governance structures that they are weak, or maybe they are not in place, or maybe they are not effective. So I think we have the responsibility of giving some directives. So I think that is something that I have observed, that instead of urging, we should reach a point where we give directives. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Dan Gladness. We go now to Honorable Matthias.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want first of all to thank and congratulate this account committee for the work, which is not really very easy to be conducted when we see the points which have been raised. Right Honorable Speaker, this report raises very serious issues with regard to the finance, public, and community management rules and regulations. And I think that this being a report from 21-22, it is not the first time that a kind of report, audit report, is tabled here, discussed. And I think it shouldn't remain here. The EAC Secretariat would have taken serious measures. It would have been on the forefront and anticipate on this. We shouldn't wait for the 22, 23, 24 to take serious measures. And when we see globally, I don't go point per point, there is a real persistent non-compliance by the whole EAC institutions with the audit recommendations. And this is very serious. So I would like to hear from the representative of the EAC Secretariat, and also propose that a kind of dashboard, a kind of, which would be a scorecard, be established within each EAC organ or institution. We can't work and do things with a kind of routine. We should move and do things differently and be result-oriented. This has been underlined by my colleague, Honorable Gladness. We should have the targets. We have raised this. It should be cleaned, and we have to really a certain show our people that we are moving forward. This blockage of the institutional review, I would think it would have even helped to manage and clean some of these big misuse of our mega resources. And I would recommend that really that the EAC Secretariat shouldn't wait for the council. They are there to coordinate, they are there to anticipate, they are there to advise. They should take the forefront and take corrective measures. And most importantly, they should always be anticipating this. Right, Honorable Speaker, I support this report, and I really submit and thank you for this, Right, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Matthias. Now I give the floor to the next, who is Honorable.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Ndangiza, then Honorable Tazana.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Before I make my intervention, I just wanted to know whether we have any council member with us, because most of the recommendations and observations are made to the council, so that at least we know that we get response from the council, because this is a very important report. And as some of the colleagues said, there are issues that keep on coming that need to be addressed. So I just wanted to know whether the council is here. If not, what do we do to ensure that these observations and recommendations reach the council for implementation or to oversee implementation? So that is my first question I have, Right Honorable Speaker, before I can make my comment.
Honorable Ndangiza, you raised a procedural question, but what we, as your information, because I'm getting the information. Do we have any minister with us? Is the Honorable SG with us? The Honorable SG is following?
Yes, I've seen SG online. If you scroll through, you see where the Secretary General.
The Honorable SG has been following and she's with us.
They could be together.
Honorable SG, are you with us?
This is something like SG. Wow.
So, Honorable Dangiza, we have the council to the community with us, but we can proceed with him. He is there to report to the council.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to start by thanking the Committee of Accounts and the chairperson of the committee for a very good report, very comprehensive and well done. The first observation that was already alluded to by you, Right Honorable Speaker, is the date of this report. It goes back to 2022, and yet we are in 2025, which means that we have a lag of 3 years. And I'm sure that there are some issues that have been raised, like the issue of institutional reform that could have been implemented, but there could be other issues that have been overtaken by time. So my recommendation to the council and our ex-officials here with us is to make sure that these reports are referred to the Assembly in time, and the requisite resources should be provided to the Accounts Committee so that we are able to deal with the backlog of these reports, and then you can be on track. Otherwise, the issue of accountability is so important that we cannot accept to have a lag for 3 years. Otherwise, it's as if we are just doing it for formality. So I want to urge the Council and the Secretariat to avail these reports in time, but also provide resources for the Accounts Committee to be able to address or to deal with the backlog of the many reports so that they are on track. The second issue is on, it's under page, I think it's page 18. Page 18 on 1.31, status of implementation of previous audit recommendations. When I look at this, the table below showing the status of the previous audit recommendation during the period ended 30th June 2020, institutions audited by the Audit Commission were outstanding. And from the assessment of these recommendations, the Audit Commission noted that 96, which is 32%, have been fully implemented, 88, 29% were under implementation, and then 116, which is equivalent to 39%, had not been implemented, while 0% was overtaken by events. Right, Honorable Speaker, this is a serious problem, and that's why we keep on seeing some of the issues recurring from report to report. You can see that the status of implementation of the previous report, except for Inter-University Council, which is 50% for fully implemented these previous recommendations, the rest are under 50%, which shows that there is really lack of seriousness in the implementation of the previous audit report. And I even wonder how some institutions are able to get an unqualified audit report when we still have some of many previous audit recommendations that were not fully implemented. So I really want to urge the Council and the Secretariat to ensure that all institutions of the community and organs implement the previous audits. They should have a framework or a plan on implementation and ensure that these issues are addressed before another audit comes in. Otherwise, it's just wastage of time and resources undertaking audits when the recommendations are not fully implemented. The final comment I have, Right Honorable Speaker, is on page 22, an observation on absence of risks management strategy, anti-corruption committee, and proper mitigation strategies. So again, for an institutions like the East African Community, absence of a risk management strategy, which entails, I would say, lack of, or maybe absence of many checks and balances, including lack of anti-corruption committees, including lack of PFM, Performance Management and Performance Financial Management Act. It was also noted that there are important bills that were passed, including the one called the EAC Integrity and Corruption Bill that was passed by the Assembly and up to now haven't been assented to. But for a community lacking a risk management strategy is a very serious problem. It implies that risks of fraud can go undetected, corruption can go undetected. So what type of institution are we building as a community? So I really want to
was lost.
Honorable Ndangiza. Honorable Ndangiza, we are not hearing you. Can you bring her back? Honorable Ndangiza, you are lost. As you are lost, let's give the floor to now to Honorable Tazana, then to Honorable Clement, then to Honorable Carolina, who is there. Honorable Tazana, you have the floor. Honorable Tazana.
Right, Honorable Speaker, it looks like they have both dropped off. I think it might be an internet problem on their end.
Yeah, sure, probably.
So Honorable Clement, you have the floor, then Honorable Caroline. We'll go back to them.
Yeah. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. After reviewing and working on the current report of Accounts Committee, I strongly recommend that we fast track the EAC Anti-Corruption Bill and urgently develop a robust asset recovery within the community, asset recovery law. It is deeply concerning that no action has been taken against officials of EAC who are misusing or managing the limited resources we depend on. The present report, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, presents several concrete examples, including, but not limited to, irregularities in procurement processes, and the questionable auctions involving community properties, among others. These issues demand immediate attention and accountability as well. I therefore support the report and urge this House to take a decisive step to uphold transparency, integrity, and good governance within our institutions. Once again, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I support this report.
Thank you, Honorable Clement. Now we go to Honorable Caroline.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to make a few comments, which will help kind of answer what honorable members have asked, but also enrich the debate on this report. My first comment, Right Honorable Speaker, you had talked about is the timing of the report that we are considering, and also other members had talked about it. As you can see, first of all, the work on this report, if you see from the detailed report, was carried out last year in May 2024, but we were unable to present it in the 2024 budget plenary because the plenary was shortened significantly, and so we were unable to present it for debate. That's the first problem. The second, the report we're considering you've already talked about is for the 2021-2022 financial statements, which means that there's a backlog that you've already alluded to that we have to deal with as an assembly. We are behind in our statutory work by 2 to 3 years. This is in contravention of the provisions of Article 49B and C and Article 134 of the EAC Treaty, as well as the relevant rules, which are clear on the 3 statutory obligations related to the budget process, one of which is the post-audit review and the scrutiny by the Accounts Committee of the expenditures incurred by the EAC Secretariat and organs and institutions of the sums appropriated in an annual budget approved by Eala, and its presentation together with the budget report for debate and approval by the whole House in the budget plenary, which culminates, a process which culminates in the approval of the budget in a plenary before the 30th of June. It's very clear in the treaty and in those the provisions that I cited for. So it is very, very important that all these processes are adhered to despite liquidity challenges in order for the community to function smoothly and achieve its objectives while respecting the treaty provisions. In addition to contravening the treaty provisions, the failure to prioritize the post-audit review, which is clear from the backlog, post-audit review and scrutiny by the Accounts Committee, means that there is a risk, which you have other members have talked about, a risk of mismanagement or wastage of scarce resources. Community resources will go undetected, and also an opportunity will be lost to guide organs and institutions in finding unconventional approaches to operating within the current liquidity constraints. As a few members with whom we discussed this issue were of the view that we review and consider multiple reports and present them either in the March plenary this year or this particular June plenary, but the committee was not able to work on the report because of the liquidity crisis that the community is facing. Fortunately, as a committee, we went ahead and organized oversight meetings to follow up on the implementation of audit recommendations, including the oversight on EADB and CASOA. But again, due to liquidity challenges, we were unable to do more. My second comment is to do with the long list. I think Honorable Musanga Batware has talked about it, of the procurement and contract management. It's a long list, and also Honorable Dr. Gladness talked about them. It's of great concern to the committee. Some of them have still not been resolved to date, and they need immediate attention. Immediate, as Honorable Dr. Gladness said, by the Secretariat and the Council of Ministers, including issues to do with the gym. I think you all know the gym that is still incomplete. You've seen in the detailed report, we went to visit the disposal of community assets. They are deteriorating by the day. If you saw very many vehicles parked in the parking of the EAC, that area, all because of issues of conflict of interest. But now things are getting even worse. I mean, even those assets are deteriorating day by day. So there's need for immediate action. Finally, we were concerned as an accounts committee that there seemed to be a contradiction, which also many of you members have already alluded to. There seemed to be a contradiction to have the audited statements declared unqualified, despite the significant and recurring issues, including weak internal controls. The Audit Commission explained to us that there are several reasons why they give an unqualified opinion, including what they called a materiality threshold. And also, when they discuss with management, the management shows that there are plans that are already in place for correcting the deficiencies. So what we need to do as an assembly is to carry out more diligent oversight activities to follow up on the implementation of the recommendations. With those few comments, I submit and I urge members to support the report. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Caroline, you are a member of the committee. Let's go back to Honorable Ndangiza, then Honorable Tazana, if they are connected now. Honorable Ndangiza.
Right Honorable Speaker, sorry, I was disconnected. But yes. I think I was disconnected when I was concluding. I was emphasizing that there is need to have an EAC risk management strategy in place to ensure that we have proper checks and balances, and then avoid fraud or even be able to detect corruption. And with that, I supported the report. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Ndangiza. Now, Honorable Tazana.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Allow me to declare that I'm a member of the Account Committee, and I thank the Chair for a good presentation. As you have seen, it's a big report, detailed, over 150 pages. It's not easy to make a summary, but as you have the detailed report with all members, they may go and see the details as it is already alluded to by Honorable Gladness. Right Honorable Speaker, my point goes straight to the role of the Council of Ministers in this process of audit report and even the implementation of recommendations that are coming out throughout years. Right Honorable Speaker, when we see how the low level of the implementation of the previous recommendations. And even now when we see we don't have any member of the council here present, at least to receive what the work already done by the assembly, for them to be able to own and also to make sure that they will understand the big and the great issues and concerns the assembly is raising for them to go and act. Honorable Gladness is saying that the report is not so strong because it is urging. But even urging, the only space which was left for Eala, for the assembly, was at least for them to come and listen, but they are not here. I'm wondering if Honorable CTC will be able to capture and be able to report to them so that at least for the financial year, the next financial year, we will see them improving the implementation of the previous recommendations. Because, Right Honorable Speaker, if the previous recommendations are not implemented, what do we expect for the correction for the next audited report to be improved? This is really not obvious. And we need the Council of Ministers to be with us to understand that the money we are using is a taxpayers' money, which could have been used for the partner states to do other priorities in our respective countries. So if there is no protection for that money in the community, I wonder if we can expect having more contribution in the few years to come, because no one is proud to see that the money which is sent to the community is misused. And I don't have any fear to say that the money which is sent is misused. And Right Honorable Speaker, there is no mechanism even to punish sanctions for staff who are responsible for the misuse of that money. Right Honorable Speaker, I implore the Council of Ministers to be closer to the work which is done by the Secretariat, because the SG is the accounting officer of the community, and I will be pleased to hear from her which strategy is she going to put in place so that what we are hearing today will not be repeated for the next reported audit report we'll be receiving in the next few months. Right Honorable Speaker, talking about the responsibility of the Council of Ministers, and you see in the detailed report how the accounts at the level of the Secretariat are opened and are closed without the approval of the Council. And yet, the regulations, the financial regulations, are requiring that any account which is opened, which is closed, has to be approved by the Council. But you have a list, you have seen, you have a list of those accounts, including these peace funds account, you remember, how it is now sounding here and there, that there is a peace funds in an account which has never been audited. What can we say when we have a council which is now responsible for the protection of those kind of resources? When we see, Right Honorable Speaker, how the reserve fund is used, and you have seen the report, the money in the reserve fund is used without the approval of the Council of Ministers. And now we are saying the reserve fund is empty. Yes, it has to be empty because no one is controlling. Right Honorable Speaker, I think there is a need for the Council to be accountable. As I said, this is the money from the partner states, and we can't always saying the money is misused without any action taken for it to be corrected. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm end up. Even though the auditors presented a generally unqualified report for the ESC organs and institutions, there are specific institutions such as the Secretariat, and you have discussed the match with the auditors that if they may do a separate audit of the accounts of the Secretariat, you will not be surprised to see that they will receive a qualified report, because that's how it is. When you go to the procurement, you go to the cash flow, you go to everything in the Secretariat does not apply to the regulations. And we now wonder who is responsible for that. We are recommending the Council to make sure a separate opinion is offered to the institution and to implement a system of accountability. What you have been naming and shaming, those staff who are not complying with the regulation, they have to be put in the report here so that everyone will see that that staff has not complied. That is a recommendation I have made to the auditors. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, when you go to the VAT refunds, the VAT refunds is not well done. It's not straightforward, we know, and the report has talked about it. But even the money which is now refunded back, we have observed in all institutions, including Eala, the money which is back to the account called the VAT refunds back is not appropriated before being used. Go to Eala, you will see. That's why you have been asking at least that account committee should go and investigate how money which is coming in the account of Eala and other institutions are used. Right, Honorable Speaker, that money, which is a VAT refund back, is supposed to go to the reserve fund, because before being used, it has to be appropriated. But when you ask to every institution, how do you use that money? No one is referring it back to the reserve and request for a new planning for that money to be used. So you can see, Right Honorable Speaker, how this report is so serious, have great concerns, and we recommend that at least for this coming year, when we have a report like this one, we have a serious implementation of the previous report, so that we know that there is a serious follow-up and the protection of the money. This is contributed by partner states. As the Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Tazana. You are a member of the Committee on Accounts. Now we go back to Honorable Momamo and Honorable Olivier.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, to give me
So
the
also
floor.
speak later.
Come back again.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
You must be facing some problems in your place. Maybe you switch off others. You are many there, and some should switch off the items.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, to giving me the floor. I will not have much to say or to comment on this report, but it's just to congratulate the Committee on Account for a very, very well report done, especially on the way they summarized the report from page 184 pages to 27 pages. So, as I told you, I will not have much to say because I didn't get enough time to read the report because of time and because of the way the report arrived late due to the situation they were working in. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, but I support the report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Momamo. We have some Honorable Olivier, you have the floor.
Thank you very much.
We have the same problems. Maybe you can switch off.
Thank you very much, Right Speaker, for giving me the floor.
Honorable Olivier.
Yeah.
I think you must, maybe you are more than one honorable member in the same room. As we are now contributing, others should switch off the items.
Okay. Now it's okay?
Not yet. Can you try again?
I can try now.
Not yet. Not yet. Check your phones or laptops who are there. They should be switched off.
Hello?
Not yet. Let's go to Honorable Siranda before you get ready, and Honorable Niramana.
Hello?
Not yet. Honorable Siranda, you have the floor.
My hand is up also, Right Honorable Speaker.
Excuse
Hello,
me?
I'm also seeking for an opportunity to speak later. This is a call. I'm also seeking for an opportunity to speak later.
Hello, I have Honorable Rutazana, Honorable Umukiza, Honorable Niramana.
No, Mr. Speaker, now.
Yes, now it's better. Honorable Olivier, you have the floor. Then after you, Honorable Francoise, then Honorable Siranda, then Honorable Niramana Aisha. Even here.
An honorable call.
And Honorable Rosa Call.
A call.
Yes. A call, yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. Honorable Olivier, you have the floor.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, you have the floor, Honorable
Yes.
Olivier.
Thank you very much, Right Speaker, for giving me the floor. I would like to add my voice to those of others who have already spoken. I am a member of this committee. My comment is for the attention of the Assembly. Despite the financial problem that have hampered our activities, it must be remembered that this report should have been presented before the vote on the 2024-2025 budget. This did not happen due to the situation you are all aware of, which is beyond the control of our committee. This is why you may find that there are some issues that are no longer relevant, perhaps resolved, and others that are not. Where I will draw your attention is that the level of management of the respective budgets of the institutions, especially the concrete case of the Kiswahili Commission, which used the budget without any strategy plan. I ask myself the question of knowing if until now this situation is as it was. What is the point of giving an institution to work without a strategy plan? If I am not mistaken, it is in the strategy plan that we draw the activity plan. Well, then they draw activities that they carried out. I want in the General Secretariat to reassure itself of availability of the strategy plan of this institution before giving them the budget. Otherwise, it will be the way of working without objectives, and their work, it will be difficult to evaluate.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, another thing is the short-term contract that do not respect the procedures. Normally, we should renew the contract of this type of after 6 months. Unfortunately, this is not the case. We draw the attention of the Secretary General to respect the law. Otherwise, the EAC risks become an institution that does anything, and this can tarnish the image of this institution if it is not already.
Thank you.
To conclude, the assets of AC should be properly recorded in the registers and in the software system designated for purpose. Unfortunately, this is not the case. This causes enormous losses for the community and disguised death of community property by those who were supposed to protect them. The assembly must be ensured that the new account committee receive the resources to conduct further audits to ensure where we are today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support this report.
Honorable members, I suspend for 5 minutes. Then I'll be back. I have an urgent call. A special call.
Again.
That would be the importance of the assistant speaker who would be stepping in now. The rules need to be adopted very fast, reviewed, so we get a standby speaker. So the speaker is a human being, gets tired, and naturally, we need an assistant.
The legal committee is in charge, not right?
That has been our proposal in the legal rules and privilege committee. That you get a who in the line so that there is a queue of speaker, assistant 1, assistant 2, assistant 3, so that in case, because naturally a person gets tired sitting one all those hours. So I think it's a serious consideration we need to think about.
It can be a special motion for it to be at least drawn from your big report of legal, because it's a serious and an urgent matter.
Dr. Seranda, when I read your name, Right Honorable Seranda, I thought that you were delegated. When you start speaking, how are you, my brother?
You
I'm
want to
seeing
meet
also the Right Honorable written there.
I will be mad that I will cause diarrhea in the house.
That's why you better keep quiet.
So again, we're talking of those things.
Honorable Francois.
Lack of parliamentary language.
But naturally, it doesn't have to come with the budget
we have
implications.
5 minutes.
The assistant
5
speaker
minutes
is one of us. There is no budget addition.
I don't know if we are allowed to discuss in the absence of the speaker when he steps out in the rules. I don't know what should be the behavior of members in such a case.
Maybe we just leave and come back.
Maybe. we don't know.
I have
Because he suspended about 5 minutes.
Honorable Francois, my mouth is zipped now.
Don't worry. It's fine. You know you are a doctor times 2.
When I am around powerful women like Honorable Francois and Honorable Oda.
No. Keep talking,
Empowered
it's fine.
women.
That's
Thank you
why
very much.
You better behave. Thank you. Thank you. Right Honorable Seranda.
Yes. Honorable Oda, I'm here, the humble village boy.
resumption of proceedings.
Thank you. Honorable members, the next will be Honorable Francoise, then Honorable Siranda, then Honorable Nyiramana, then the last one will be Honorable Akolo Rose.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you very much for this opportunity. It has always been an honor for me to contribute to the adoption of this kind of reports by the Accounts Committee in the past and now in this particular time. However, Mr. Speaker, at the same time, I have been registering disappointment by the fact that Eala has always been the only organ of the community that could dare point a finger or fingers to people that misuse the funds of the community. Not only that, even in terms of proceedings like procurements, processes, accountability matters, and so on. Mr. Speaker, I want to tackle something very important for the Secretariat. The Secretariat of EAC is so-called ISO certified. And this is after a deep assessment for it to receive this international certificate. And it is registered under what we call QMS, Quality Management System. When we talk of quality, we are immediately understanding, an EAC that is organized, that is the best performer, REX in Africa and even across the world. But when it comes to the management of funds, it's a disaster. Mr. Speaker, as an assembly, much as we can be also pointed out as also being a part of, people that misuse funds, we can talk on this and also give suggestions on how to move forward. The House in the past drew recommendations that never were implemented. It's good we have the CTC with us, but I don't know if the CTC will be able to talk on behalf of the Chair Council. He cannot. Though an ex-official, he can't represent the Chair Council unless he is delegated to do so. So this is a big problem we are facing, Mr. Speaker, sir, and we have to find tangible solutions on this. In such a situation, we have to take also a different position. Maybe we innovate something that will allow the council members to come and remain with us, or we suspend our proceedings until they are there. Because what I have personally observed is that the Council of Ministers is just interested in the budget. Without the budget, nothing else is interesting. And you cannot have an assembly that will represent people, citizens, as people-centered for the community, and also community market-driven, without having the council on board of the assembly as ex-officials. This is statutory. It's not by choice. It's not their right that they are busy back in their countries. That's why they were voted for or appointed for to come and support EAC as a community. Otherwise, we are having really many issues with this. Mr. Speaker, I have raised my hand to support this report of the Accounts Committee because the report was keenly looked into, and also this mismanagement of funds, part of it, bringing delays in the region, is really projecting Eala as being, let me not call it a redundant because we are doing our job, but we don't have impact on the community. Our resolutions, our recommendations, no one is there to take them. Of course, they will stay in the Hansard. But do you think the council will go back and open our Hansard and follow? They just have people that can represent them, sometimes also not reporting properly the way the Hansard proceedings were managed. So we want them to be here with us so that we can take a decision together. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, since you have been urging the council, we cannot tolerate this anymore. I appreciate the Honorable Ambassador Fatuma for having even put this on record, and you ascertained that except from the CTC being here, even the SG was not online. And we're talking of the Secretariat in charge of the accounting officer of the community.
I've been online, Honorable.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's good to hear from you, Honorable SG. When we have you with us, at least the execution of recommendation will be taken care of, because you are able to convey all what we are saying here to the council. Mr. Speaker, allow me to stop from here, but next time we appeal to the council to be here so that they can have this and implement our recommendations. Otherwise, we will continue to sing an old song of lack of implementation of the recommendations, mismanagement of funds, lack of implementation of the procurement procedures, and also this issue of staffs that are just undergoing contractual systems that is even ending. You know, even in Eala, we have staff that are going out and they never received their contracts, and they wonder what will happen. We were able to say goodbye or to register our farewell to those ones with contracts, but you have those ones without the contracts, and we never said goodbye to them. They are also humans. They should be considered, and you have to look into that particular part to see what you can do with them. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, we have staff of Eala that have been working for free. Those are the staff that are assisting, ADs, assisting our honorable members with disabilities. Honorable Bahati, Honorable Sankok, and even the late Honorable Kasamba Matthias. His aide never received any salary. So they are working for free, and there is a precedent that they were paid in the past with Eala 3, but since Eala 4 and now Eala 5, nothing is being done. So it's part of also mismanagement and lack of accountability and lack of even human being rights and also obligations. So I appeal that the SG maybe will help us to look into this. If there is a lack of policy, this should be brought on board, because this is the matter of rights and also human being consideration, along with the work of Eala and the community at a whole. I submit and I support the report. Thank you. Was I audible, Mr. Speaker?
Uganda. Honorable Black. As you are muted, I go to Honorable Nyiramana Aisha.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me. I would like, first of all, congratulate the committee on a very short. I'm happy that the SG is around. Why that is, if we're looking to this report, it stated we still have
Aisha.
Security, which also delayed.
Honorable Aisha, your connection is not good. Let's go to Honorable Akolo Rose.
Hello.
Yes, try again. Can you?
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I hope I'm clear. I'm heard.
Yes, we'll go back to Honorable Siranda and Honorable Nyiramana, because the connection with Nyiramana was not good. Honorable Akol, you have the floor.
So I can speak?
You can speak.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to air my views on this report. First of all, to thank the committee for the precise and very clear report, but also to voice my frustrations on the fact that year in, year out, Right Honorable Speaker, the queries are the same. The queries are the same. It is a flagrant abuse of procedures which have been provided for, flagrant abuse of the procurement procedures. It is the same queries all the time. And it seems as it is by the audit committee report, still we don't have council coming in to ensure that the queries by the auditors are looked.
Honorable Akol Rose. Honorable Akol Rose. You have been disconnected. Oh, I don't know, but not hearing you. Honorable Akol. Honorable Akol. As we cannot hear you, let's go to.
Gone off. The next is a problem. I was talking about weak regulatory framework, financial regulatory framework, for which still exists in Eala since Eala 4. We have made recommendations. Right, Honorable Speaker?
Honorable Akol Rose.
Yes, I'm here speaking, Right Honorable.
Can you please start from the beginning because we had lost you? Can you come back again?
Okay, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I was only trying to voice out my frustrations that since I joined Eala, we seem to be going through the same queries each year in, year out, without adequate response and adequate implementation of the recommendations of the Assembly, Right Honorable Speaker. I even just want to give you an example, Right Honorable Speaker. This Assembly, whenever it sits, makes recommendations to Council. But whenever Council sits, it is an extraordinary sitting to consider urgent matters. It has never sat in an ordinary meeting, even just to look at the recommendations of the Assembly. Since Eala 4, it has never happened. It is not therefore surprising that even today, as we sit to look at this very important report, there is not a single council member to listen in to us. It is therefore true, Right Honourable Speaker, that even now as we sit, the Assembly is not well constituted as provided for in our rules. We are not well constituted right now in this sitting. But suffice to say, we have the Secretary General, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, since Eala 4, as I said, we have a very weak financial regulatory environment. We have talked about this since Eala 4. We have made recommendations, and there is nothing coming up from Council, from say, this weak environment. To the extent that, as an Assembly, we have passed the Anti-Corruption and the Integrity Bill, which is now due for signing by summit into an act of parliament. But to date, that bill has not been signed. And therefore, we cannot even have the opportunity to adequately handle issues of corruption. So people are still in national corruption law that we passed has not been passed into law, has not been signed into law. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have always demanded for a finance management act. That can a private member's bill and say that it has financial and therefore it is cancelled to bring it. Yes, right, Honorable.
You can proceed. We can hear you.
Right, Honorable?
Yes.
Yes. I was trying to say that we have always that we come up with a member's bill on finance management, but council say because it has it is for a government of weak.
These are the challenges of these virtual meetings.
Herself as SG and also as
Honorable Akoloros, been disconnected again.
Procedure, Honorable Speaker.
Secondly, when do we get the financial management? Yes, right, Honorable.
We have a procedure.
Yes.
On the floor.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, right, Honorable Speaker. I wanted to propose that because of this cutoff, because of network, if right, Honorable Speaker, you can allow members who are on the floor to put in writing their proposal or their on record, then they send it to the clerk so that it will be part of the answered. I think it will help to not lose the good views that are given by members, but cut off by the connectivity. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for your contribution. I think you are right. But let's try again. If you find that Honorable Akolo is well connected, she will continue. If not, we'll go to conclude because we have been disconnected many times. And if you are not well connected,
it's a network problem.
Yes,
so
please.
Now, second, I was requesting that the Secretary General who is representing Council gives us an update on the progress they have made on the bill on financial management for the East African community. We would like to have that bill in Parliament so that we can deal with it and have a good financial regulatory framework for the community. Thirdly, Right Honorable Speaker, as noted in the report of the committee, so many queries that were raised in the previous audit report have not yet been dealt with by Council or Secretariat. Right Honorable Speaker, in our member states, we have what we call the Treasury which is now card every query that the audit
Honorable Rose, I think
Mr. Speaker, clarification.
The General implement the
point of clarification.
Yes, Honorable Francoise.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Can I
You know,
continue to speak?
Honorable Call Rose, I think the answer has captured like 2/3 of what you have just said, Honorable Call Rose, right, Honorable Speaker.
Less than that.
Yes, and you know, our answer, the system is managed by humans, not AI. It's not artificial intelligence. It's not a robot. So without capturing well all of these submissions, they can't be in the answer because the persons cannot just, you know, be proactive to know what the person was trying to say. And the proposal of Honorable Francine, my colleague, won't also work. Why? Because what members put in the writing are the things that were captured in the answer, but for clarity matters and facilitation to the mover or to the chair moving the report, yeah, as a facility, but the answer should have got those things. So this one is just going because of the virtual meetings is an issue we have to fix by having our physical meetings. We can't start writing things that are not in the answer because the members want to know what the person is submitting to the office of the clerk. What if it's a submission that is against the house or what? We need to hear and then we approve so that they can be in writing. Thank you very much. It's just a proposal I wanted to emphasize on our physical meetings because we can see that the virtual meetings are not working. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. That's why I have congratulated the members, the committee members, for the work they have been doing in difficult conditions. As everyone have seen it, it's not only Akoros, even others. It is very tough for our answer to do a good job. So let's now ask the members.
Honorable, my hand is up. I have a very short submission.
Concluded, right, Honorable?
Honorable Akoros, your contribution, you were there, but everything from the beginning, we have captured maybe only 50% because your connection is not really not good. Maybe I can advise you to write your contribution and
Honorable, it's a debate. It is a debate, and I'm supposed to air it to everybody. If it is difficult, it's not my fight. Let me stop here.
Maybe if you are well connected, we'll be back to you because we are about to contribute, to conclude. Let's go to Honorable Siranda and check if he is now well connected. If he is not around, we go back to Honorable Nyiramana. Nyiramana has already. Had he already? Had she already?
My hand is up. Yeah. Honorable.
Yes, but there are others members before you. Honorable Nyiramana Francois.
Okay, thank you, Right Honorable. Yeah, I'm just reminding.
Honorable Speaker,
yes,
I'm very appreciative for the opportunity accorded to me, Right Honorable Speaker.
Françoise, Aisha.
Honorable Siranda, you have the floor. I hope that your connection is good. Then after you, Nyiramana will take the floor if she's well connected. Then we'll go back to Honorable Rose to see if she's well connected so that can conclude. You have the floor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity accorded to me to make a humble contribution to this report. And from the onset, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate the committee for the very productive job they have done. Right Honorable Speaker, issues to deal with the figures are not easy, but I want to appreciate the committee for having spared all the time amid this trouble to produce something like this. Right, Honorable Speaker, this report, and I want to appreciate you, the last plenary, your closing remarks that allowed that the report on legal rules and privilege is specifically that dealt with question of the investigation and all those will come to the floor. I want to appreciate you, Right Honorable Speaker, for having given us that assurance. A lot that I've seen in this report, Right Honorable Speaker, is perturbing. Right Honorable Speaker, on all organs, I do not know at what time does the Secretariat do a supervisory role. There is a weakness on supervision, and the report clearly tells you in terms of all institutions, where there is a culture of saving and then they just work on appropriating, on using the money, which would have gone to the reserve fund. And then in the next budget line or budget year, the Secretariat still appropriates the money. I think, Right Honorable Speaker, it will be prudent that you do a study, you either audit, internal audits, and then you assess in terms of the progresses that you take on the results-based management. What are the areas that need improvement in the next financial year? How have they used the other finances that were allocated to them in the past financial year? That will be a basis for you to understand that specifically this is what we need to do. But what I see, Right Honorable Speaker, is one size fits all, is automatic ticking the box that we are allocating this money, we are allocating this money. Sometimes that is a problem, and the resources of the community are not being used as in line with the work plans or strategic plans. You can see that there are also entities that don't even have a strategic plans, but they continue, you appropriated money to, and you ask yourself, what is the basis or the benchmark that they're using for them to tick and say, we have done this based on the budget, or we have done this based on the strategic plan, and this is where we are. Right, Honorable Speaker, you also see the report that aligns and agrees that there is monies that have been used when they are not appropriated, specifically on the EACP's fund. The money were used even when they were not appropriated by the Assembly. And I think that I will expect the Secretary General and Secretariat specifically do comments on a line of that to assure us that as a community, we are not contravening the treaty, because the treaty is very clear in terms of how do we use the monies of the community. Either they are contributed by partner states or they are contributed by donations and all those. They should undergo a process of the House to appropriate that money. Right, Honorable Speaker, this report also tells you that that was not done in some of the other specific areas. I do not want to take a lot of time, but Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, is for us, because there have been reports that I've done in the previous years. How are we improving in terms of assigning a specific man, specifically the accounting office of the community, who is the Secretary General, to have a clear plan on how she intends to do a lot of these of us as supervision for these institutions that under the community that specifically fall under the Secretariat. Right, Honorable Speaker, going forward, I think it is important that we don't only argue the council, but also we come up with specific and mentioning people to hold them accountable. The other thing will be to make sure that the incoming budgets, for instance, would have dealt with this report in tandem with the financial year, but you see that we're already dealing with the backlog. I believe that if we deal with the audits in line with the financial year, then it will be in tandem, then we'll be addressing specific concerns. But you might see here, right, on addressing the dead body when already think we cannot cure anything. And yet we would have done what we call promotive and curative rather than dealing with a past event that has happened. I want to submit and require that, right, Honorable Speaker, if we deal in line of what every aspect of the community is supposed to do, then we will be going forward. I would love to see the Secretary General dealing with this matter so that we don't go into the same line of dealing with the same so that it becomes a routine. Submit and appreciate the community by supporting this report, right, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Siranda. Let's go to Honorable Nyiramana and check if she is well connected. She's not. Let's go back to Honorable Akolo Rose so that in case she's connected, she can conclude.
Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable
As I
Akolo Rose.
conclude, yes, as I conclude, mine was to request the SG and council, if they are listening in, to give us timelines within which we shall have the financial management bill for Parliament to consider. Then secondly, when we shall have the anti-corruption bill, which was passed by Parliament, signed by the summit. If it is not signed, as to the reasons why, and if it is necessary, it should be brought back to the Assembly. Because a bill normally is supposed to take 90 days, beyond which it expires and then it is brought back to the Assembly if it is not signed by the members of summit. And thirdly, I was emphasizing the issue of also council having a report to Parliament on how they have dealt with the audit queries, normally on an annual basis. In our member state, in Uganda, we call it a treasury memorandum. Annually, the executive writes back to Parliament on how they have dealt with the queries of the Auditor General. So we also want Council to do a similar thing, to write and bring a report to Parliament on how they have dealt with queries from the Audit Commission, how they have dealt with them, and the report is brought to Parliament, right, Honorable Speaker. Those are the three issues I wanted to bring up, and also, as I conclude, to thank the committee for the precise report, right, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Akolo Rose. Now we give the floor to the last one.
Est-ce que tu fais dans les gars, chambre pour
I am giving the floor to Honorable Dr. Oda. Then we will give the floor to the mover of the motion.
Okay, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I would, on the onset, want to declare that I'm a member of this committee. That's why even I kept quiet and I didn't want to share if something didn't really aspire me to make the contribution, because this report, Right Honorable Speaker, we have really diligently discussed it in our committee with all the difficulties, because you have seen that working in the committee of account and maybe also general purpose virtually is very hard. We, Honorable Speaker, had to sometimes refer to our clerks who are very good for them to check the audit books, which are in Arusha. And that's why there was a resolution, because I'm from Eala 4 also, which we passed in Eala 4, that during the budget, the account committee, the GP committee, they have to be in Arusha because all the book of audits, all these people whom they can refer to correct whatever they're doing in their report are available in Arusha. Having said this, Right Honorable Speaker, something was brought to my mind by the contribution of our colleagues which I really agreed with, and I agreed with all the recommendation of the committee, is the issue of the ADs for our colleagues. This issue in Fort Eala, we had recommended to the council to fast track the policy, which they promised that this policy will help those who need ADs among us. And I don't know, as the council is here, and I think the Secretary General is here, I want to know how far since then is this. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker. Yes. Yes, right, Honorable Speaker.
You had been disconnected when you were talking about I don't remember when, but you had been disconnected.
Yes, right, Honorable Speaker. I was saying that what triggered me to speak was one of our colleagues, I think is Honorable Francoise, when she mentioned about that the ADs of our colleagues, those who aid our colleagues who needs aid, are not being paid. And I remembered that in Fort Eala, the council has promised us policy will be developed. They will fast track the policy. So I want our colleague who has done very well and our clerks also, because they're really doing well. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and thank our able chair.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Oda. Now I give the floor to the chair of the committee to
procedure. Right Honorable Speaker.
Okay.
Yes, procedure.
Right Honorable Speaker, I wonder if is the mover coming before SG, because SG has to report to the House before the mover comes in.
You are right. Honorable members, I may remind you that the Audit Commission made a report and they reported to the Council of Ministers. And the Council of Ministers, they had to submit this report to us. This report is from the Council. It's not our report. Meaning that a member of the Council of Ministers has to respond and to contribute, because the honorable members have contributed on many issues, and we need to hear from the council members. And we don't have any of them. We have the Honorable CTC, Honorable SG, but they are not members of the Council of Ministers. With this, I cannot put a question and I cannot proceed. What we do is that by the next plenary, which is it tomorrow afternoon? Tomorrow afternoon, I direct the CTC, Honorable CTC and the SG to get in contact with the Council of Ministers so that tomorrow they'll be on the agenda of tomorrow so that they could respond to all of these issues, contributions, concerns raised by the House. And then I'll give the floor to the chair of the committee. Then I put the question.
Thank you for the floor, Honorable Speaker.
No, Honorable Chair. I'm not giving you the floor. I'm saying that.
Okay.
Tomorrow, because of these procedures and the rules and everything. So, honorable members, with this, let's give time to the Honorable SG and the Honorable CTC to get in touch with the Council of Ministers so that by tomorrow afternoon, when we'll be having this plenary, we should hear from them. With these honorable members, I have to adjourn the House to Tuesday, which is tomorrow, 8th July, 2025, to adjourn it at 2:30 in the afternoon. Thank you. And of course, it's 2:30 in the afternoon because in the morning, the General Purpose Committee will be meeting and regional affairs. You have 2 reports. You should be working on them. That is why I think that the morning of tomorrow will be busy for these committees. Thank you and good evening.